MercyMe. I know of this band. I listened to some of their songs throughout the years. I haven't listened to them in a while, but I was asked to check out Flawless by MercyMe. Shout out to Country 1883. Thank you for this suggestion. I'm looking forward to listening to this. I may already know this one. I'm not sure, but I'm excited to check it out. MercyMe is a Christian band. Where are they originally from? Somewhere in the United States, I believe. The band MercyMe is from Oklahoma, formed in 1994. Wow, they've been around for a minute. Yeah, I would listen to them growing up, or mostly like in Bible college days, Bible seminary days. All right, guys, 62 million views. Goodness gracious. Flawless by MercyMe. I may know this one, but we'll find out. I haven't heard it in forever. So let's see how it impacts me now. My faith, my views have changed over the years. I'm in an interesting season in my life, on this journey, willing to learn, willing to explore. So let's see how MercyMe, how I hear it now, how it impacts me now.
There's got to be more.
I definitely know this song, but I've never seen this music video. What is happening with all that paint? Okay.
There's got to be more than going back and forth, from doing right to doing wrong, 'cause we were taught that's who we are. Well, come on, get in line right behind me. You along with everybody, thinking there's worth in what you do.
Okay, real quick. I know this song, but I don't think I've ever actually listened to the details, the lyrics in detail. I know it, and I know lots of parts of it. These lyrics are actually pretty deep, and the music video I have never seen. I don't think I've ever seen. I can't recall. But I want to check something real quick, because what's his face? Bart Miller, the vocals, the main vocalist. He has such a unique voice. I feel like the second you hear them, you hear Bart singing, you hear MercyMe playing, you know it's MercyMe. Christian band, as we know, from Oklahoma, American contemporary Christian music band. But it's so unique. I'll pull up the lyrics later. This music video must have been so much fun to make. I have a feeling they had a blast with this. I also will say there's a lot of psychological elements here to the lyrics, and I appreciate that. It's not just Christianese, it's humanese, and I like that.
Then like a hero who takes the stage when we're on the edge of our seat, saying it's too late. Well, let me introduce you to amazing grace. No matter the bumps, no matter the bruises, no matter the scars, still the truth is a cross has made, the cross has made you flawless. Cross has made you flawless. No matter the hurt or how deep the wound is, no matter the pain, still the truth is a cross has made, the cross has made you flawless.
I can appreciate that they're listing all kinds of people with different needs and life circumstances, not just physical or health related, but personality, health, spiritual choices. I do appreciate that. It's not just all, this person struggles with lust, and this one has pride, and this one is selfish, but also physical things that make life sometimes harder or, difficult, or people struggling with the consequences of their choices. I think we can all relate to that to a degree, that we've made mistakes and that comes with consequences. So some of it may be very specific and niche, and some of it is very relatable across the board.
Could it possibly be that we simply can't believe that this unconditional kind of love would be enough?
That's a cool thing. Da-da-da. The way that he almost yodels into that high note is cool. And the emphasis on unconditional, like cool cadence flow with the lyrics, the words.
To take a filthy wretch like this and wrap him up in righteousness, but that's exactly what he did. No matter the bumps, no matter the bruises, no matter the scars, still.
I do have a couple of things I want to say. And this was released 10 years ago, 62 million views. I could see people, since we have learned 10 years ago. Things have changed, some for the bad, some for the good. I do have a couple of things that I will say critical, and I promised you real talk, real reactions from the start, so I'm going to be real with you. There's a couple of things I don't like that I grew up learning that I now no longer agree with. One of them was this mindset of wretched sinner born into sin. Plenty of people still believe that. I now, where I'm at in my point in life right now, think more so that we were born made in the image of God, whatever that exactly means, and actually are children of God, divine and whole, and we've stepped away from that because we're human. I think that it is all a spectrum. Being selfish, having a thought of pride, having a temptation, I don't think that makes people sinful. It makes them human. What we do with those thoughts, temptations, what we do with that determines if we're actually walking in righteousness or not, in my opinion, right? If I have a thought, that doesn't make me sinful. Growing up, I was so strict on myself, though, that I already thought I had sinned in my mind, right? Oh my gosh, I had a thought. Versus understanding that's human, that's what happens. What I do with those thoughts is going to determine if I'm actually making a mistake or sinning, as the Christian would call it. The second thing is that I don't know if at this point in my life, I think that, people are just wretched and born into sin. I think that people are more amazing, loved, powerful, and good than we understand. But we've walked away from that. And oftentimes we find ourselves in a cycle of shame. For example, I don't necessarily believe you're born into sin. This is my personal subjective opinion. But I believe that we were made good and whole, and we have forgotten that. And I think we need to come back to who we really are. When we do things that are wicked, I don't think we're being who we truly are deep down inside. I believe, at least at this point in my life, I might feel differently again in 5 years, God willing, and I'm still around. I feel like we have forgotten who we are, and we need to come back to that we are actually whole and worthy and good enough, and that we get to choose, that we have the power and the means, as long as we have breath in our lungs, to choose, okay, I don't want to live like this. I don't like how this makes me feel or how that makes other people feel. I don't want to keep doing this. I want to get back to who I was created to be. And I think depending on your denomination and your religion, sometimes some of these theologies interpret verses and life in a way that lays it out to be this, you're originally flawed and you got to be made whole. I think maybe it's possible that we were originally whole and we've walked away from that. And when we do make a mistake and we feel guilty, sometimes we get stuck in a cycle of shame where now we keep doing more stupid things because we now have made that our identity, something. But of course, everyone's life story is different. The second issue that I have with this, and again, I'm only going to be straight with you. The song is beautiful and there's a lot of hope in it, and it's a sweet video. But I have issues with things like them showing someone as born with Down syndrome or an arm missing or diabetes, and then talking about no matter the scars and the bruises. I don't think that having Down syndrome is a scar or a bruise. Yes, is it a genetic abnormality when it comes to chromosomes? Sure. And I think that anyone that has a loved one who has a disability or there was a deformity or something missing or what we would deem an abnormality, since we have decided what normal is and we have these parameters as to what healthy chromosomes look like or complete chromosomes according to science and what looks like a missing chromosome or an abnormal. I understand that there is our idea of what is whole, and then whatever varies from that would be considered abnormal or a disability or something that makes life harder. That's true. Living with diabetes is hard. People that have someone that loves someone who has Down syndrome and the health concerns that come with that, they would probably wish full health on their loved one. But at the same time, I struggle with thinking that is the opposite of whole, right? Who is to say that this is an image of or an example of someone who is bruised and scarred? Is there an ideal that we, aim for? Would I rather have all the body parts instead of something missing? Probably, but I don't want to speak for a person who is missing a limb. They need to say for themselves if they feel like they would rather have their arm or not, if they're okay with the prosthetics, if they feel like something's missing. That's not for me to say. But part of me is just kind of struggling with some of this because it's like you guys are listing. On one hand, I think it's great we're not just listing physical ailments or spiritual struggles or emotional weaknesses. I like that it's kind of holistic, body, mind, and spirit, and everyone's going through shit. I like that. But at the same time, I'm going, why are we listing someone who struggles with selfishness or is struggling to be the spiritual leader of their home? Why are we comparing that with someone who was beautifully made and just happens to have Down syndrome? There's nothing lacking here. Unless they themselves feel like there's something lacking. Again, that's not for me to say. I just don't know. Am I making sense to y'all? I'm trying to place this. How do I feel about this? That we're listing someone who is selfish with, And we're talking about the bruises. No matter who you are, what you're going through.
The truth is the cross has made you flawed.
That's relatable, right?
Has made you flawed. No matter the hurt or how deep the wound is, no matter the pain, still the truth is the cross has made you flawless.
Yeah, I think a lot of people can relate to this one. I think here's what I have a little bit of a struggle with it philosophically, is that, for example, someone that's prioritizing work and that feels that that's wrong, that feels they put work first before their family, and they interpret that as false, maybe because their family told them it's wrong, or their spiritual leaders are telling them it's wrong, or they themselves feel in their heart this is not right. To then say, hey, the cross has made you flawless. What do you do with that information now? Does that now mean you're forgiven, but you can keep doing it? Or where does the conversation that things like faith without works is dead, James, the book of James, anybody? Where are we going to talk about that then? That you actually got to then change it. Do something different about it. If you feel like you work too much and you've neglected your family, what is that message? The cross has made you flawless. What does that do now? Is that empowering you to change? You're forgiven, you're loved, you don't have to keep beating yourself up. Now stop having the wrong priorities. Or do we now take this and go, I'm forgiven and I'm loved? But to put that in the same row of examples with someone who has Down syndrome, who can't do anything about their physical ailment, to then tell them God has made you flawless, or the cross has made you flawless, well, that implies that you're broken. You needed to be made flawless. You needed some type of salvation. Someone who hurt somebody else, who cheated on their spouse or has a past that they regret, there seems to be a need for forgiveness. So we're telling them the cross has made you flawless. No matter what, God loves you. You can be forgiven. That's a very encouraging message if someone is in need of grace. But to put that in the same line of examples with someone who has diabetes or Down syndrome or a missing limb, they still have those physical ailments. Does that now mean that we interpret that as, well, that also means that having Down syndrome is not a flaw? Well, yeah, I don't think it is. So why are we starting with, there is a need for you to be made flawless? Are we saying that something is broken if someone has Down syndrome? On a chromosome level, scientifically, maybe we're saying there was some type of imbalance genetically and there is an ideal. Okay. But does that now make the person in need of salvation? Or is it just is. This person just has a disability. I hope you guys are following me. But theologically and philosophically, I'm trying to make sense of which of these are in need of grace and which one are not. Which of these are examples of this is where you need forgiveness in your life, and which of these are examples where it's not a matter of the need for grace, but simply that we live in a world where people have ailments and disorders and disabilities they need to live with, but it doesn't make them flawed or broken or lacking. Maybe it's also just meant to showcase people from all walks of life that are just going through stuff. Everyone has something. If it's not a physical or a genetic disorder or a physical ailment, or it's a personality struggle, or it's a spiritual concern, maybe the goal here is these are just people, everyone's going through something.
Take a breath, smile, and say right here, right now, I'm okay, because the cross was enough. And like a hero takes the stage when we're on the edge of our seat, saying it's too late.
The play on, like I said earlier, the cadence flow and breaking apart the syllables here and there is a fun edge. Everything's being reversed. All the paint that they were covered with, all the flaws, all the sinfulness, all the humanity, I guess, is being undone by the cross. That's the message I'm taking from it here. Now, everything is white again, washed clean.
Well, let me introduce you to grace, grace, God's grace. No matter the bumps, no matter the bruises,
okay.
no matter the scars, still the truth is a cross.
I see what they're doing here now. They listed physical, spiritual, emotional struggles, ailments, lacking, flaws, I guess. And now everyone's being relabeled, not with what they have or did or who they are or they think, but they're all being called flawless according to Christian theology because of what Jesus did on the cross and God's grace. Okay, I see what's happening here.
The cross has made you flawless. Has made you flawless. And no matter the hurt or how deep the wound is, no matter the pain, still the truth is the cross has made. The cross has made you flawless. Has made you flawless. No matter what they say.
That's right.
What you think you are, the day you called his name, he made you flawless. He made you flawless.
I like how they were also showing the members of the band to really show all of their humanity. And I like that. That's a good way of showing, hey, we're struggling too. This is not just listing other people as in life as an example. We too all have our demons and our struggles, but we've been made flawless by God's grace. The harmonies here in the end are pretty. I'm not going to play it to the end for copyright reasons. Thank you for this suggestion, Country 1883. I think this song is very catchy. The composition, especially the harmonies in the end and the choir kicking in, the kids, it has this feeling, which was what I said in another review of mine, where music pulls people together and it creates this feeling of community. It's not just you or me, not just you listening to me or me to you. It's all of us singing together, joining in like a choir, like at church. It's a very catchy song, 62 million views and more. It's been very popular, especially in the Christian community. I think the idea that we are not our physical ailments or anything lacking or our mistakes, but we are loved by God and made flawless is a beautiful message. Of course, different people will have different views on how we got there and the theology behind it, and will agree or disagree on, not only Christian theology, but religion and philosophies and ways of looking at the world, and if people are flawed or not to begin with, and if they are, what makes them flawless and what doesn't. Christian doctrine teaches that it's Jesus' sacrifice on the cross and him being raised back to life. There are different views on what gets us there, and I'm not going to go into the theological details or if I agree or disagree with those views, but I do think that, for one, music can be a wonderful way of communicating our faith and showing people hope. It's a beautiful way of bringing everyone together and showing them, hey, you are loved, you're not flawed, you're not broken, you're not lacking, you are enough. And the theological details aside about, if that's the right approach or not, or if I agree with that or not, that aside, there is something beautiful about wanting to remind people that they are loved, that they're not broken, that they're not lacking, and encouraging other people in that way. I think that's one of the reasons this resonated. MercyMe being a known band, for one, that being a catchy song and being played on the radio a lot, number two, but also this message that I think a lot of people long for is they're looking for someone, often externally, for someone to say, hey, you're loved, you're enough, there's nothing wrong with you, you're whole. And I think I could see many people relating with this. What are your thoughts on this song? What are your thoughts? Have you heard it before? What are your thoughts on MercyMe? What are your thoughts on this type of philosophy, faith, theology? Do you have any quarrels with it? Does it bring you any joy in any way? Agreements, disagreements? It's all welcome here. It's a safe place. Talk to me in the comments. I hope you know you are loved and you are matter. You are matter. You are matter. You are. And you do matter. And I will see you on the next ride. Heyo!